A new beginning. The vibrant hum of life on New Aurora Station enveloped Josh Killian as he stepped off the transport shuttle, his heart racing with a mix of excitement and apprehension. After years of service in tactical operations, this was his first assignment as a civilian aid specialist. Gone were the days of high-stakes missions and danger around every corner. Now he was supposed to blend in with the ordinary. Yet, something about this new life felt anything but normal. As he navigated through the bustling transit hub, the air crackled with energy. Holographic advertisements flashed above him, showcasing everything from Martian delicacies to the latest in cybernetic enhancements. Towering Andromedans ducked their elongated heads to pass under low-hanging conduits, their crystalline skin shimmering under the kaleidoscope of lights. Josh had always marveled at the diversity of alien life, but today he felt more like an observer than a participant. He adjusted the collar of his civilian uniform, still unfamiliar and slightly stiff against his skin, a stark contrast to the tactical gear he had worn for years. "Welcome to Residential Block V7, chirped an automated voice as Josh approached his new apartment. A small screen displayed a message requesting identity verification. He pressed his palm against the scanner, suppressing a smirk as the system took a moment to process his modified genetic signature. The nanotechnology coursing through his veins often confused standard scanners. "Identity confirmed. Welcome, Mr. Joshua Killian," the system finally announced, and the door slid open with a soft hiss. He stepped inside, greeted by a Spartan living space, basic furniture, a small kitchen unit, and floor-to-ceiling windows that offered a stunning view of the station's lower rings. The endless stream of ships coming and going from the docking bays reminded him of the bustling life outside, a world he was now a part of but still felt distant from. Josh dropped his duffel bag and took a moment to conduct a quick sweep of the apartment, falling back on old habits. He might be a civilian now, but years of training couldn't just be switched off. The apartment was as advertised, nothing out of the ordinary. A few personal items were arranged to suggest a normal life: family photos, carefully fabricated to appear genuine, some memorabilia from the Space Patrol Service, and a collection of vintage Earth books that he genuinely enjoyed reading. Just as he was about to settle in and order dinner, a commotion in the hallway caught his attention. The sounds of struggling and muffled curses reached his ears, layered with the distinct timbre of an alien dialect. He hesitated, torn between his instinct to help and the caution drilled into him during his years of service. Engaging with neighbors wasn't part of the plan, but then the unmistakable sound of something heavy tipping over jolted him into action. Without another thought, he sprinted to the door and opened it just in time to see a striking alien woman struggling with an ornate mirror, almost as tall as she was. The mirror's frame was carved with intricate designs that seemed to dance in the artificial light. But it was the woman herself who captured his attention. Her deep azure skin shimmered as if lit from within, and long pink hair cascaded past her shoulders like a waterfall of color. When she looked up, her eyes glimmered with hues that reminded him of distant galaxies, drawing him in. "Hold on," he exclaimed, instinctively reaching out. He steadied the mirror with one hand while catching her waist with the other as she stumbled. A sudden jolt surged through him at the contact, a sensation he had never felt before. Her skin glowed where he touched her, and a subtle vibration rippled beneath his palm. "Thank you," she breathed, her voice musical and resonant, almost ethereal. "That mirror is a family heirloom. I would have been devastated if it broke." "Happy to help," Josh replied, trying to keep his voice steady despite the overwhelming urge to learn more about her. "Need a hand getting inside?" "Oh yes, please. I'm Leanie," she said, her eyes studying his face with an intensity that sent a thrill down his spine. "I just moved into Unit 7C. "Josh Killian, Unit 7B, looks like we're neighbors," he said, adjusting his grip on the mirror as they maneuvered it down the corridor. He noticed how she leaned into him, brushing against him more than necessary as they walked. "Lucky me," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "I hope I'm not disturbing your evening." "Not at all. I was just getting settled in myself, he replied, trying to keep his tone casual. They reached her door, and he helped position the mirror against the wall. Her apartment was a riot of colors, filled with exotic fabrics and strange crystalline sculptures that caught the light in mesmerizing ways. I must repay you somehow, Josh, Leanie said, stepping closer, her expression shifting to one of genuine curiosity. Would you like to join me for dinner? I make excellent Centaurian fusion cuisine. The question hung in the air, heavy with unspoken possibilities. Josh felt his heart race. It was as if the room itself buzzed with energy. He could sense subtle changes in her breathing, a quickening that mirrored his own. His military training kicked in, analyzing the situation. There was something more at play here than simple neighborly friendliness. Thanks, but I should finish unpacking, he deflected, noticing the brief flicker of disappointment that crossed her features. Another time, perhaps. She recovered quickly, her smile returning with a warmth that lit up her face. After all, we're neighbors. I'm sure we'll be seeing quite a bit of each other. Of course, he replied, feeling an unexpected flutter of intrigue. As he turned to head back to his apartment, he could feel her gaze lingering on him, a tangible force that made his skin tingle. The door slid closed behind him, and he leaned against it for a moment, his mind racing. Inside his apartment, he ran a quick diagnostic on his systems, a habit he had fallen back on despite the civilian lifestyle. The nanotech in his bloodstream was behaving oddly, showing patterns he had never encountered before. Something about Leanie triggered a response in him that was both exhilarating and confusing. His communicator buzzed, interrupting his thoughts. Status report, it prompted. Settling in fine. Met one neighbor, he typed, pausing before sending the message. For the first time in years, he hesitated to report everything back to his handlers. There was something about Leanie that intrigued him, something he wanted to explore on his own before sharing with anyone else. As the sun simulator began its programmed descent, casting long shadows through the transparent dome of the station, he heard movement from 7C. Beneath the surface noise of the station, he caught a subtle humming, a sound that resonated with the frequency that had disturbed his nanotech earlier. He knew then that life on New Aurora was about to become far more interesting than his cover story suggested. In the days that followed, Josh found himself crossing paths with Leanie more often than he expected. Each encounter was charged with unspoken tension and curiosity. They exchanged pleasantries, but each interaction felt like a dance, an intricate play of attraction and restraint. As Josh settled into his new life, he couldn't shake the feeling that something extraordinary was unfolding just beyond the surface of their everyday lives. The neon chaos of New Aurora Station pulsed around them, a backdrop to the strange and wonderful connection blossoming between a human and an alien woman in a galaxy filled with endless possibilities. Little did he know, their meeting was only the beginning of a story that would challenge everything he believed about himself and the universe around him. Unveiling secrets. The next morning dawned on New Aurora Station, the artificial sunlight filtering through the transparent dome, casting a warm glow across Josh's sparsely decorated apartment. He awoke with the lingering thrill of yesterday's encounter with Leanie echoing in his mind. The unusual energy between them had sparked a curiosity that refused to fade, pulling him from sleep and nudging him towards the door. As he prepared for the day, he couldn't shake the feeling that today would bring more than just mundane tasks and computer troubleshooting. The station buzzed with life outside, and Josh felt an irresistible urge to step out and explore. He finished dressing in his civilian attire, glancing at himself in the mirror. His features appeared relaxed, yet there was an undeniable edge in his eyes that hinted at the excitement building within him. After a quick breakfast, consisting of rehydrated protein packs and coffee that barely resembled the rich brew from Earth, Josh gathered his tools and headed out. The transit hub was alive with activity. He maneuvered through the throngs of various species, the colorful array of alien life invigorating him. Holographic advertisements called out to him, promising everything from alien delicacies to entertainment shows featuring the latest in interstellar sports. As he passed by an open-air market, Josh was momentarily distracted by the vibrant stalls filled with exotic goods. A stall selling glistening fruits from Centauria caught his eye, and he couldn't resist the urge to sample. The vendor, a stout, green-skinned creature with 3 eyes, grinned as he handed over a small fruit that sparkled in the light. "This one," the vendor said, his voice a raspy croak, "will make you see colors you've never dreamed of." Josh chuckled, taking a bite. The flavor exploded in his mouth, sweet and tangy with a hint of spice, unlike anything he had tasted before. "This is amazing," he exclaimed, and the vendor beamed, clearly proud of his wares. As he enjoyed the fruit, Josh's thoughts drifted back to Leanie. He wondered what she was doing, if she had made any new adjustments to her apartment, or if she had concocted another strange meal to tempt him. The thought made him smile. His heart quickened at the idea of seeing her again. With his newfound energy, he decided to explore the station further, wandering through different blocks, absorbing the culture and life surrounding him. Yet, despite the myriad distractions, his mind kept returning to her. He passed by a cluster of alien musicians performing a lively tune, their instruments producing enchanting sounds that resonated through the air. Josh stopped, entranced, and found himself swaying to the rhythm, momentarily lost in the moment. Just as he turned to leave, a flicker of blue caught his eye. Leanie was walking toward him, her pink hair cascading down her back, adorned in a flowing dress that sparkled like the stars. She was accompanied by a group of colorful beings, their skin tones vibrant, their laughter filling the air. The moment their eyes met, a spark ignited, and everything else faded away. "Josh," she called, her voice cutting through the crowd like a beacon. "Leanie," he replied, grinning as he approached her. The others in her group paused, intrigued by the sudden connection between the two. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her eyes gleaming with delight. "Just exploring, trying to get to know my new home," he replied. "How about you?" "Oh, just looking for adventure," she laughed, and it was a sound that sent a thrill down his spine. "These are my friends from Centauria." She gestured to her companions, who smiled and nodded in greeting. "This is Zarek, and that's Mira," she said, pointing to a tall, slender being with iridescent skin and a round, cheerful one with bright, orange skin. "It's great to meet you both," Josh said, feeling a warm sense of camaraderie. "Leanie was just telling me about her cooking skills." "Ah, the best chef in all of New Aurora," Zarek joked, flashing a toothy grin. "You're in for a treat if you join us for dinner." Josh felt a sudden flutter of hope. "Dinner? I'd love to," he said, stealing a glance at Leanie. She smiled back, and for a moment, it felt like they were the only 2 people in the bustling crowd. As they wandered the station together, Leanie shared stories about her home world, her voice animated and lively. Josh listened intently, enchanted by her tales of shimmering landscapes and the vibrant cultures of her people. "On my planet, we celebrate the seasons with festivals that last for days," she said, her eyes sparkling. "Each festival is a display of art, music, and food. It's a time when everyone comes together to share joy and creativity." Josh nodded, captivated. "That sounds incredible. We have festivals on Earth too, but they often feel a bit more mundane." He chuckled, thinking of fireworks and parades compared to the vibrant celebrations Leanie described. "I would love to show you my home someday," Leanie said, her voice softening. "There's so much beauty in the universe, and it's even better when shared." Just then, Mira piped up, her voice bright and cheerful. "We should have a festival of our own here. Why not invite everyone from the station to join us? We could showcase the best dishes from all over the galaxy." Zarek nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, a cultural exchange. We can share stories, food, and music. It'll be a night to remember." Leanie turned to Josh, her gaze filled with excitement. "What do you think? Would you help us organize it?" Josh was taken aback. The idea of a festival was enticing, but the thought of taking on such a responsibility was daunting. However, the prospect of working alongside Leanie and getting to know her better made it hard to resist. "Count me in," he said, surprising himself with his eagerness. "Wonderful," Leanie exclaimed, and her expression was a mix of joy and determination. "We'll make this happen. It will be a night filled with laughter, friendship, and delicious food." The group spent the next few hours brainstorming ideas, the atmosphere buzzing with enthusiasm. Josh found himself feeling more comfortable, immersed in their lively banter. They discussed everything from potential dishes to music selections, and he marveled at the seamless blending of cultures and personalities around him. As the sun began to set, painting the station in hues of purple and gold, Josh's heart soared with a sense of belonging he hadn't felt in years. With every laugh, every shared story, and every glance exchanged with Leanie, he felt the walls he had built around himself begin to crumble. When they finally parted ways, Leanie lingered for a moment longer. "Thank you for today, Josh. You really made it special," she said, her voice softening. "Anytime," he replied, unable to hide his grin. "I had a great time." "Tomorrow, we'll start planning," she said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "And don't forget, dinner is still on." As she walked away, Josh felt a rush of warmth wash over him. There was something undeniably special about Leanie, something that sparked a fire in his soul. He realized he was no longer just an observer in this strange new world. He was an active participant in a story that was unfolding before him. That night, as he lay in bed, the weight of the day settled comfortably around him. Thoughts of the upcoming festival danced in his mind, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of purpose forming within him. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he was ready to face them, especially if it meant getting to know Leanie better. But deep down, Josh sensed that there were deeper layers to Leanie than she had revealed. The lingering sensations he felt around her hinted at a connection that transcended their respective worlds. As sleep claimed him, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a journey that would take them both to places they had never imagined. Little did he know that the challenges and secrets lurking beneath the surface of their vibrant lives were about to be unveiled, thrusting them into a whirlwind of adventure that would test their resilience and redefine their understanding of the universe. Uncharted territories. The next day dawned bright and vibrant on New Aurora Station, the artificial sun casting its warm glow across the bustling residential blocks. Josh awoke with renewed energy, the anticipation of the festival brewing excitement within him. He quickly dressed and made his way to the communal area, where he and Leanie had agreed to meet. As he walked, the station felt more alive than ever, each sound and sight invigorating him as he embraced the rhythm of his new life. Upon entering the communal space, he spotted Leanie seated at a table, surrounded by a colorful spread of fruits, pastries, and steaming dishes, all courtesy of her friends. They were already deep in conversation when Josh arrived, their laughter echoing off the walls. He felt a wave of warmth wash over him as he approached. It was as if he was stepping into a world crafted from joy and creativity. "Good morning, Josh," Leanie called out, her voice bright and welcoming. She looked radiant, her dress flowing elegantly around her, complementing her luminous skin. "You're just in time. We've prepared a little feast to celebrate our planning." Josh took a seat, still awed by the vibrant array of food laid out before him. "Wow, this looks amazing. What's all this?" he asked, eyeing a dish that bubbled with an enticing aroma. "It's a mix of Centaurian and Earth dishes." Mira chimed in, her orange skin contrasting beautifully with the colorful food. "We thought it would be fitting to showcase the flavors of both our worlds." Josh grinned, his mouth watering at the thought. He reached for a small pastry filled with what looked like spiced fruits. "This is incredible," he exclaimed after taking a bite. The flavors burst in his mouth, a perfect blend of sweet and tangy. "I could get used to this." As they enjoyed their meal, they began brainstorming ideas for the festival. Leanie's enthusiasm was infectious as she suggested themes and activities. "We should have a talent show. Everyone can showcase their unique skills, from singing and dancing to culinary creations," she proposed, her eyes sparkling with inspiration. "That sounds fantastic," Zarek replied, nodding eagerly. And we can include games from different planets. Each station could represent a unique culture. Josh joined in, his own excitement building. What if we set up a storytelling corner? We could invite people to share tales from their home worlds. Stories have a way of bringing everyone together. Leanie beamed at him, her eyes filled with admiration. That's a brilliant idea. It would allow everyone to connect and learn about each other's cultures. As they continued to brainstorm, Josh felt a sense of belonging wash over him. He was no longer just a solitary figure in a new world. He was part of something larger, a community that thrived on creativity and connection. The camaraderie among them grew, fueled by shared laughter and dreams of what the festival could become. After a lively planning session, they decided to split up the tasks to ensure everything was ready for the festival in just a few days. Josh volunteered to handle the technical aspects, including setting up the sound system and lighting. I can work on a way to create an immersive atmosphere, he said, his mind racing with ideas. We could use holographic projections to enhance the storytelling experience. Leanie clapped her hands in delight. Yes, that would be amazing. You have such a great vision for this, Josh. With their plans set, the group decided to take a break and explore the station. They wandered through different blocks, visiting markets and galleries filled with art and crafts from various planets. Josh was captivated by the diverse displays, each piece telling a story of its own. As they strolled through an art gallery, Leanie's gaze caught on a particularly striking sculpture made from iridescent crystals. This piece represents the harmony between nature and technology, she explained, her voice low with reverence. It reminds us that we can coexist with our surroundings. Josh admired the sculpture, feeling its resonance. It's beautiful, he said. There's something powerful about art. It transcends language and culture. Their exploration led them to an open-air amphitheater where a local band was performing. The sound of lively music filled the air, and Josh couldn't help but tap his foot to the rhythm. The stage was adorned with lights and decorations, and he imagined how the amphitheater would look during the festival, alive with energy and joy. Let's come back here for the festival, Leanie suggested, her excitement palpable. It'll be the perfect venue. Yes, it'll give everyone a chance to celebrate together under the stars, Josh agreed, his mind already racing with ideas for the layout and performances. As the day turned to evening, they decided to gather supplies for their preparations. The market was bustling, filled with vendors showcasing their wares. Leanie and her friends were in high spirits, joking and laughing as they perused the stalls. Josh found himself feeling more at home with each passing moment, the camaraderie among them like a warm blanket against the coldness of his past. While shopping for festival supplies, Josh's enhanced senses kicked in. He picked up on the subtle shifts in Leanie's demeanor, her excitement, her energy. But there was something else. A flicker of anxiety danced in her eyes, barely noticeable beneath her bright exterior. He pondered whether to say something, but the moment passed as she moved on to the next stall, her laughter ringing out like music. The following days were a whirlwind of activity as they worked tirelessly to bring their vision for the festival to life. Josh set up the sound systems, arranging for the right equipment to ensure that every voice could be heard. He spent late nights calibrating the holographic projectors, excited about how they would enhance the storytelling aspect of the event. During their preparations, Josh noticed that his connection with Leanie deepened. Each fleeting touch, each shared glance became a spark that ignited a flame within him. He found himself captivated by her spirit, her passion for life, and the kindness that radiated from her. One evening, while they worked late into the night, Leanie approached him as he adjusted a projector. "Josh," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "Thank you for everything. This festival means so much to me, and I couldn't do it without you." Josh paused, turning to face her. "I'm happy to help. It's not just the festival, it's the chance to connect with you and everyone else. It's been transformative." She looked at him, her expression sincere. "You have a gift for bringing people together. It's rare to find someone who sees the beauty in connection." Josh felt his heart race at her words. It's easy to see that beauty when I'm around you." The moment hung in the air, charged with unspoken emotions. They stood close, and he could feel the warmth radiating from her skin, the subtle hum of energy that surrounded them. Just then, a commotion outside pulled them from their moment. The laughter and voices of their friends echoed through the hallways. "Looks like they're setting up the main stage," Zarek called out, poking his head through the door. "We need you both out here." Leanie and Josh exchanged a glance, their moment interrupted, but the energy lingered between them. They joined their friends outside, where the festival preparations were in full swing. The excitement was palpable, and Josh couldn't help but smile at the sight of everyone working together, a tapestry of different cultures and traditions weaving into something beautiful. As night fell, they lit torches and hung colorful lights around the amphitheater, transforming the space into a magical venue that shimmered with anticipation. Josh stepped back, admiring their work, a sense of pride swelling within him. This festival was not just an event, it was a manifestation of their shared experiences and the bonds they had formed. As they stood together, looking out over the preparations, Josh knew deep down that this was more than just a celebration. It was a new beginning. The connection he felt with Leanie was growing stronger, intertwining with the fabric of their festival. But beneath the surface of this joyous occasion, a sense of uncertainty loomed. Josh had sensed the hints of anxiety in Leanie, and he couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more, some unspoken challenge or secret she was grappling with. As the festival approached, Josh resolved to support her, whatever it took. He was ready to face whatever came next, both for the sake of the festival and for the deepening bond he felt with Leanie. Little did they know that as they prepared to celebrate their cultures and creativity, they would soon be thrust into an unexpected adventure that would challenge their perceptions of friendship, connection, and what it truly meant to be part of a galaxy as vast as their own. Revelations under the stars. The day of the festival arrived, bathing New Aurora Station in an otherworldly glow as the artificial sun set behind the distant asteroid belt. A gentle hum filled the air as excitement rippled through the station, each inhabitant eager to partake in the festivities. Josh stood at the edge of the amphitheater, taking in the scene before him, a tapestry of colors and sounds that promised an unforgettable evening. The stage was adorned with shimmering lights and decorations representing different cultures, strings of luminous crystals from Centauria, vibrant banners from Earth, and intricate tapestries from distant planets. The scent of exotic spices wafted through the air, teasing his senses and stirring his appetite for the culinary delights that awaited him. As he adjusted the sound system, he caught sight of Leanie moving gracefully among the crowd, her presence captivating as she engaged with guests. Her smile was radiant, her laughter infectious, and Josh felt an overwhelming sense of pride to be part of this celebration with her. Yet, there was a flicker of concern behind her excitement, a hint of something unspoken that lingered just beneath the surface. "Josh," Leanie called, her voice cutting through the din as she approached him, her dress shimmering in the ambient light. "Everything looks incredible. You've done an amazing job with the sound and lights." "Thanks, Leanie. I just wanted it to feel special," he replied, his heart racing at her praise. "I can't believe how many people showed up. It's like the whole station came to celebrate. Everyone's excited to share their stories and cultures. This festival is about connection," she said, her gaze sweeping across the gathering crowd. "And you've played a huge part in that." As the festival officially began, Mira stepped onto the stage, her voice amplified through the speakers. "Welcome to our celebration of unity and diversity. Tonight, we come together to share our stories, our food, and our joy." The crowd erupted in cheers, and Josh felt a rush of exhilaration. The amphitheater buzzed with energy as the first act, a troupe of performers from a nearby planet, took the stage, their movements fluid and enchanting. Colorful lights danced around them, enhancing their captivating performance. Josh watched, mesmerized, but couldn't shake the feeling that something significant was unfolding beyond the entertainment. After the performance, a group of storytellers took turns sharing tales from their respective worlds. Josh found himself enchanted by the vivid narratives, each one a window into a different culture. He glanced over at Leanie, whose eyes sparkled with delight as she listened to a tale from a distant planet where dreams manifested into reality. "Isn't it beautiful?" she whispered to him. "Every story connects us, no matter where we come from." "Absolutely," he replied, feeling the warmth of her presence. "It reminds me of Earth's folklore. Stories have this incredible power to bridge gaps and bring people together." As the night wore on, they moved through the crowd, sampling dishes and mingling with guests. Leanie's laughter was a beacon, drawing people to her like moths to a flame. Josh felt a swell of admiration as he watched her connect effortlessly with others, sharing her passion and enthusiasm. But as they stood together, admiring a stall filled with intricate jewelry, Josh's attention drifted back to the subtle shifts in Leanie's demeanor. There were moments when her gaze would flicker to the stars above, a faraway look clouding her expression. He could sense that her mind was occupied, grappling with something deeper than the joy of the festival. "Leanie," he began softly, "is everything okay? You seem a bit distant." She turned to him, her expression momentarily caught off guard. "Oh, I'm fine. I'm just..." Her voice trailed off, and for a fleeting moment, Josh glimpsed the vulnerability beneath her bright exterior. "Just what?" He pressed gently, not wanting to pry, but feeling the weight of her unspoken thoughts. Taking a deep breath, she looked up at the stars, the artificial light at the station dimming their brilliance. "It's just that I've always dreamed of a festival like this, a celebration of unity. But sometimes I wonder if it's truly possible for our worlds to come together. There's so much history, so many differences." Josh felt a pang of understanding at her words. "I think that's why events like this are so important," he said thoughtfully. "We can't erase the past, but we can build new connections. It's about taking that first step." Leanie smiled at him, her eyes shining with gratitude. "You're right. It's just hard to see beyond the boundaries sometimes. But I believe in this, what we're creating here. It gives me hope." As they stood beneath the vastness of the stars, Josh reached out, gently taking her hand. The contact sent a jolt of energy through him, a connection that transcended words. "We're all in this together. Whatever challenges come, we'll face them as a community." Leanie's expression softened, and she squeezed his hand tightly. "Thank you for being here with me, Josh. It means more than you know." Just then, the next act took the stage, a group of musicians from a planet known for its melodic harmony. As they began to play, the air was filled with an enchanting rhythm that seemed to weave through the very fabric of the night. People began to sway and dance, the energy infectious. Josh and Leanie joined in, letting the music carry them away. They moved together, laughter spilling from their lips as they lost themselves in the rhythm. In that moment, the worries of the world faded, and all that mattered was the connection they shared. As the night progressed, Josh watched Leanie shine as she danced, her movements fluid and graceful. He marveled at her ability to bring joy to those around her, her spirit a beacon of light amidst the chaos of the universe. But as he joined her in a joyful twirl, he caught a glimpse of her expression as she glanced up at the stars again, a fleeting shadow of worry clouding her features. Later, after the performances had ended and the crowd began to disperse, Josh found a quiet moment with Leanie near the edge of the amphitheater. The stars above twinkled like diamonds scattered across velvet, and a soft breeze carried the remnants of laughter and music. "Leanie," he began, wanting to delve deeper into her thoughts. "You mentioned differences earlier. What do you mean?" Her gaze fell to the ground, a thoughtful frown creasing her brow. "It's just, not all species see eye to eye. There are conflicts, old rivalries, and fear that can overshadow unity. I've seen it in my travels, and sometimes it makes me question if we can truly connect." Josh considered her words carefully. "I think every relationship, whether personal or cultural, has its challenges, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try. Every moment we share is a step toward understanding." "You're right," she said, her voice steadying. Sometimes I wish I could be more than just a diplomat between worlds. I want to do something meaningful, to make a real difference. Then let's do it together, he offered earnestly. We can make this festival a foundation for something bigger. We can reach out to others, create more connections. Leonie looked at him, her eyes reflecting the starlight. You're inspiring, you know that. I'm just trying to keep up with you, he replied with a playful grin. As they stood together, the weight of their conversation hung in the air, but there was a newfound understanding between them. The festival had sparked something profound, not just in the celebration of cultures, but in the connection they were forging, a bond that promised adventure and growth. Just then, the distant sound of laughter broke their reverie. They turned to see a group of children chasing glowing orbs that floated through the air like miniature stars. Leonie chuckled, the sound brightening the night. They're playing with the light orbs. It's one of my favorite games from home. Josh laughed as well, feeling the warmth of the moment wash over him. We should join them. Let's make some memories. They approached the children, and Leonie demonstrated how to catch the orbs, her movements enchanting and fluid. Josh joined in, his laughter mingling with hers as they darted around, trying to capture the glowing spheres. The joy of the festival enveloped them, a reminder of the power of connection and community. As the night wore on, Josh felt the growing sense of purpose deep within him. This festival was more than just a celebration. It was the start of a journey that would test their resolve and challenge their understanding of unity. In the midst of laughter and joy, however, a lingering shadow lurked on the fringes of his mind. As the festivities continued, he couldn't shake the feeling that there were deeper currents at play, forces beyond their control that could disrupt the fragile connections they were forging. But for now, he pushed those thoughts aside, choosing instead to embrace the joy of the moment. The stars twinkled above, and for the first time in a long time, he felt a sense of belonging, both to the festival and to Leonie, whose spirit ignited a fire in his soul. As they danced under the stars, Josh knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, united by the bonds they were creating and the stories yet to unfold. The dance of unity. The festival had reached its zenith, a night alive with energy, laughter, and the sounds of celebration echoing throughout New Aurora Station. The amphitheater pulsed with life, illuminated by a kaleidoscope of lights and adorned with colorful decorations from countless worlds. Josh stood at the edge of the stage, taking in the vibrant scene around him. The mingling aromas of exotic dishes wafted through the air, intertwining with the rhythmic beats of music that resonated deep within him. As the final performances concluded, Mira took the microphone, her infectious enthusiasm sweeping through the crowd. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Let's keep the celebration alive with a grand dance under the stars. The crowd erupted into cheers, and Josh felt a rush of excitement as he glanced over at Leonie. Her eyes sparkled with joy, her smile illuminating the night. She grabbed his hand, pulling him toward the center of the amphitheater, where the dance floor was teeming with revelers. Come on, we can't miss this, Leonie urged, her enthusiasm contagious. As they joined the throng of dancers, the music enveloped them, a fusion of beats from across the galaxy. Josh found himself swept up in the rhythm, his worries dissipating with each pulse of sound. He glanced at Leonie, who moved gracefully beside him, her laughter blending with the melody. In that moment, all barriers faded away, and they became one with the crowd, a tapestry of cultures and stories woven together in celebration. Josh marveled at the variety of dance styles surrounding him, some graceful and fluid, others wild and spirited. He caught glimpses of alien beings with multiple limbs moving in perfect synchrony, while others swirled and spun, lost in their own world. Each dancer was a storyteller, their movements narrating tales of joy, sorrow, and unity. As the music intensified, Leonie pulled him closer, their bodies swaying together to the beat. You're a natural, she laughed, her eyes shining with excitement. Josh couldn't help but smile at her infectious energy. It's easy when I'm dancing with you, he replied, feeling the warmth radiating from her. They twirled and spun, lost in the moment. For Josh, the dance felt like a celebration of not just their connection, but also of the community they were creating. It was a joyous escape from the uncertainties that loomed on the horizon, a reminder that they were all part of something greater. But as the night progressed, Josh began to sense a subtle shift in the atmosphere. A murmur rippled through the crowd, and he noticed groups of aliens huddled together, their expressions serious. He exchanged a concerned glance with Leanie, who seemed to pick up on the change as well. "Do you feel that?" she asked, her voice barely above the music. "Yeah, something's different," he replied, his instincts flaring. "I wonder if it's just the excitement of the festival, or—" Before he could finish his thought, a loud commotion erupted on the far side of the amphitheater. Josh turned, spotting a group of agitated beings confronting one another, their voices rising in a heated argument. The music faltered for a moment, replaced by the sounds of escalating tension. Leanie's expression shifted to one of concern. "I think we should see what's happening," she said, pulling him along as they made their way through the crowd. As they approached, Josh could see the situation clearly. Two factions were clashing. One group represented a trade alliance from a distant planet, while the other consisted of advocates for a more sustainable way of living, emphasizing the importance of preserving natural resources. Heated words were exchanged, their voices sharp and accusing, igniting the passions of those around them. "This festival is supposed to be about unity," Leanie exclaimed, her eyes wide with alarm. "We can't let this ruin everything we've worked for." Josh nodded, determination rising within him. "We need to intervene before this escalates further." He stepped forward, Leanie at his side, and raised his hands, trying to draw attention to their presence. "Hey, everyone, let's take a moment to breathe. This festival is about celebrating our differences, not fighting over them." The crowd quieted slightly, turning to face him. "We're here to share our stories and experiences," he continued, his voice steady. "Let's remember that we're all part of this community. We need to listen to each other instead of letting anger take over." Leanie chimed in, her voice carrying warmth and empathy. "We've all come together tonight to celebrate what makes us unique. We can find common ground if we choose to listen. Let's not allow misunderstandings to overshadow the unity we're building." A heavy silence fell over the amphitheater as the crowd absorbed their words. Josh glanced at the opposing factions, seeing the tension in their expressions begin to waver. Finally, an older alien from the Trade Alliance stepped forward, his voice gruff but thoughtful. "Perhaps we have lost sight of what is important. This festival is meant to foster connection, not division." A member of the sustainability group nodded, her expression softening. "We all want a future worth fighting for, but there are many ways to achieve that. We need dialogue, not discord." As they spoke, Josh felt a glimmer of hope. The power of their words resonated in the air, shifting the mood among the crowd. Slowly, people began to step closer, their earlier anger giving way to curiosity. Leanie stepped forward, her voice full of conviction. "Let's share our ideas, our hopes, and our dreams for the future. This is a chance for all of us to learn from one another." Josh took a deep breath, grateful for Leanie's insight and bravery. "Why don't we organize a discussion right here, right now? Let's invite everyone to share their perspectives. We can create a space where all voices are heard." The older alien nodded, and a ripple of agreement spread through the crowd. "Yes, let's talk," he said, his tone more conciliatory. "It's better than fighting." Josh felt a wave of relief wash over him as the two groups began to mingle, their earlier tensions easing. They formed small circles, engaging in thoughtful discussions, their voices rising and falling like the ebb and flow of the ocean. Leanie grabbed Josh's hand, her grip firm. "You did it. Look at how they're coming together." "I couldn't have done it without you," he replied, his heart swelling with pride and gratitude. "Your passion for unity inspires me." They moved through the crowd, listening to the conversations unfolding around them. Ideas were shared, solutions proposed, and a sense of community blossomed amidst the once divided factions. Josh watched in awe as the festival transformed from a simple celebration into a catalyst for change and understanding. As the discussions continued, the energy of the night shifted again, this time towards something more profound. The laughter returned, mingling with the sounds of music as people began to dance once more. With a newfound sense of purpose, Josh and Leanie joined in, their bodies moving together in sync with the rhythm of the crowd. The earlier tension felt like a distant memory, replaced by the warmth of connection and the joy of shared experiences. As the stars twinkled overhead, Josh realized that this festival was more than just a gathering. It was a testament to the strength of community. Each conversation, each dance, and each shared moment was a step toward unity, a promise that no matter the challenges they faced, they would stand together. Later that night, as the festivities began to wind down, Josh and Leanie found a quiet corner of the amphitheater, away from the crowd. The lights twinkled around them, casting a soft glow that mirrored the stars above. "Tonight was incredible," Leanie said, her eyes reflecting the light. "I can't believe how quickly things turned around." "Yeah," Josh replied, feeling a sense of awe. "It's amazing what can happen when people come together and listen. You inspired them, Leanie. Your passion is contagious." She smiled, her cheeks flushing slightly. "I just want to make a difference, you know. We all have the power to create change, no matter how small." Josh's heart raced as he looked into her eyes, feeling the weight of her words. "And you're doing it. You've shown everyone that unity is possible. It starts with each of us, with the connections we build." The moment lingered between them, a palpable tension woven with possibility. "I couldn't have done it without you, Josh," Leanie said, her voice softening. "You stood up for what's right. You were brave." He felt his pulse quicken, drawn to her warmth and sincerity. "We make a great team, don't we?" "Absolutely," she replied, a smile breaking across her face. They shared a lingering gaze, each feeling the gravity of the moment pulling them closer together. The festival had brought them to this point, a moment of connection that transcended the festivities around them. As they sat beneath the stars, the sounds of laughter and celebration fading into the background, Josh knew that this was just the beginning of their journey together. They had forged a bond that promised adventure, resilience, and the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Little did they know that the very unity they had fostered that night would be tested in ways they could not yet imagine. But for now, surrounded by the magic of the festival, they were united, not just as neighbors or friends, but as partners on a path toward a future filled with endless possibilities.